Meanwhile, Kim is following June and finds him in a high-end restaurant with his neighbor from 401. Determined to expose him, the teacher calls his brother-in-law and asks where he is. But June lies, saying he is not in Seoul. After proving that his brother-in-law is a compulsive liar, Kim returns home and hours later shows up at the hotel where June is with his lover. When discovered, the lunatic tries to explain himself to convince his brother-in-law to keep the affair a secret until he has time to talk to Hyun. The next day, Kim packs his bags to leave and says goodbye to his sister, as he does not know when he will see her again. While gathering his things at work, the teacher receives a message and discovers that his sister crashed into a neighbor's car. After being informed about the affair, Hyun takes her car and crashes it several times into Shihim's vehicle, who is extremely frightened by the attack. While Kim tries to calm his sister, June arrives at the scene, and instead of siding with his wife, he runs to comfort his love. Furious at this attitude, Kim punches his brother-in-law, but his sister interrupts the attack. As soon as the couple leaves, Hyun reveals the truth to her brother. The woman says that, in fact, she is the lover, as June is married to Shi. After being discovered by Kim, he decided to end his affair with Hyun, and that's why the woman freaked out. After finding his niece's diary, Han discovers that the glasses she wore allowed her to see something that no one else could see, and decides to interrogate Hyun to find out what those drawings mean. Upon hearing the explanation about the meaning of those red lines, the detective states that this story is absurd, but does not think that Roan is lying. That weekend, the young woman gets a job as a receptionist at the Mission Hotel, and spends the whole night at the front desk while Han and Detective Dom gather all the information collected so far to try to find out who pushed Sum from the terrace. By connecting the photos of everyone involved on a single board, they conclude that Professor Song Joon ended everything due to the guilt he felt for having pushed the girl. On Sunday, Hyun receives a visit from two school friends who decided to keep her company during her shift. When she sees one of the clients taking a key and going up to a room, Hyun Jun recognizes her and states that she works in the school's administrative department. After spending a few hours alone in the room, Misun goes home and looks at the city with her glasses to see the millions of red lines floating in the sky. When she returns home, Roan turns on the TV and discovers that a new victim was eliminated the previous night. The perpetrator was arrested near the scene and confessed everything he did with a smile on his face. Upon seeing images of the criminal, Roan realizes he is wearing a pair of glasses identical to Sum's and realizes that there are other glasses that give their users the ability to see the S-line. On Monday, after class, Yoon approaches Roan and invites her to visit his swimming school. He remembers that the young woman said she likes empty places and takes the opportunity to spend some time alone with her. Since he first saw Roan, Yoon has begun to develop an interest in her, and thanks to Kyeon-joon, found an opportunity to get closer to the girl. Even without knowing anything, Roan feels the urge to jump into the water, and Yoon quickly enters the pool to prevent her from drowning. Then, while waiting for their uniforms to dry, they eat instant noodles, and Roan talks about her ability to see red lines on people's heads. The young woman reveals that, just like her, Yoon and Kyeon-joon do not have any red thread, and even without understanding what these lines mean, the boy says he believes her. The following weekend, once again, Misun books room 206 at the Misun Hotel, and while cleaning the hallways, Roan hears her screaming at herself while looking in the mirror as if she were rehearsing something to say to someone. A few months ago, in that same room, the woman found the glasses that gave her the power to see the S-lines, and since then her hobby has been complete. Misun's favorite pastime is watching the guests in room 205 through a hole in the wall, but when she sees Miss D's on the other side, she is surprised. Ever since she first saw the music teacher, Mason fell in love with him, and upon discovering that the man is meeting with Kylan, the woman breaks down. At that moment, she goes down to the reception and says she wants to extend her stay until the next day. Then, when Kylan shows up to meet Lee once again, Mason hits her with a fire extinguisher and puts on the woman's clothes to go meet the music teacher. When he sees his co-worker in his room, Lee wonders what is going on and is even more confused when she begins to recite the lines she practiced in front of the mirror. Then, when Mason goes toward him, Lee pushes her away and gets up to leave, but ends up passing out before reaching the door. After taking the teacher back to bed, Mason reveals that she put a sleeping pill in his water and hugs Lee while waiting for him to wake up. However, at that moment, the woman sees a bloodstain spreading on the pillow and panics, because the last thing she intended to do was to end the life of the man she secretly desired all this time. Then, when the red thread disappears, Mason feels guilty and ends up using a stapler to hurt herself multiple times. Hours later, Kylan manages to get out of the room and finds Ryan, who helps her free herself from her restraint. Then, a young woman enters room 205 and sees the body of Professor Lee. When Han arrives, he finds Mison's body and searches for her glasses all over the room, but cannot find them. When talking to the detective, Ryan states that Mason always wore a pair of glasses while at work and reveals that the object messes with the minds of its users. According to her, Mason had only one red line that did not connect there, so it is impossible to know what what motivated the attack. When night falls and all the police have already left, Detective Han returns to the hotel and decides to empty the bathtub where Mason's body was found. When he does this, he finds the glasses the woman was wearing and puts them on. Then, the detective looks at himself in the mirror and can see for himself the red lines Ryan was talking about. Here the series ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.